And then when he found out, he was so like he was. It was like the Democrats now with the reaction to getting caught after the USAID scandal.
They
They're
double
out
down.
banging on the doors. Let me in.
Double down, baby.
We will stop looking. You know, by the way, one of the people was racist. Did you know one of the people was, they made racist comments about Indians, you know, and like all this shit that doesn't matter going, hey, with like a laser pointer going, don't pay attention to how fucking much money we're stealing from you. Let's look over there. Look over
Yep.
there. And
Yep.
there's people every day that will go, hey,
There's injustice.
there's injustice. And, you know, they're doing now a thing called that I love. It's my favorite trick of the CIA. It's called the limited hangout. Do you know what the limited hangout is?
No, give it to me.
So it turns out with this whole scandal that our entire media, and specifically with USAID, AID, Politico,
Mhm.
BBC, New York Times, have been paid off by our government. And it's not just USAID for Politico. Politico got $8.2 million through a plethora of government agencies that would buy these outlandish subscriptions that provide no value, and they would do it with a license
As
as if
bonuses or something.
it's so they could legally control the media. There's no reason to pay $13,000 for Politico. Fucking, and in this case, some of the subscriptions are $494,000. There's no, like $500,000 for Politico. Really, there's no
Wouldn't that be
additional.
laundering?
No, they've figured out how to launder legally. That's the way you launder money. Anybody who's watched that show on Netflix with a guy who can't act but isn't all the good shit, um, you launder money like that. So it's a lot money laundering thing. In this case, Politico, when Trump shut down USAID, couldn't make their payroll, so they missed payroll as a result of
Ain't that a bitch?
Ain't that a bitch? And everyone's out there going, oh no, they're just getting regular subscriptions. And they put out a big like, hey, this is our response to it. Hey, this is BBC put out like, hey, this is my response to the fact that we've been basically, now that we're government propaganda. And they put out a whole thing which they thought was going to say we're not government propaganda, but said, well, it's actually 8% of our revenue comes from the government, and we're trying to figure this out right now. We're going to go through some struggles.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some struggles. So there's a reason, ladies and gentlemen out there, that I've been looking at 5, 6, 8 different sources. Every morning I wake up and I read the Washington Post and the New York Times and the Huffington Post, and then I watch Fox News and CNN, and then I turn on MSNBC. There's a reason that all of them have been saying the same thing for so long and have been so wrong on every major story in unison, including Russiagate, COVID-19. It was from a wet market. It was from a wet market. I tell you, them Asians, they like these wet animals. They eat anything out there. No, it was from the lab that was like 2 miles away from the wet market. We all knew. And all of them said the same thing because they were all bought and paid for using our own money to lie to us. So they took your money, my money for many years, laundered it, ran it to everything to go up push trans. There's actually studies that they're doing on trans and mice. How do you turn mice transsexual? Let's put $20 million toward how are you going to turn that mouse transsexual? Because if you can turn a mouse transsexual, you can turn a boy transsexual, right? I don't know why I'm doing it in a country accent, because none of these people have country accents. Country people are way smarter than this. there's how do you put a trans person in the country? How do you take a little boy and make him trans? Because while we're throwing Indians under the bus, why not? You put the tranny in the bus. So yes, so Jimmy,
So why were you talking? Everything has led to this. Why were you talking shit
why was who talking shit?
on X? On X. Just
No,
woke.
that's not the point of this. Is that our government, that you and I thought was a real government? You're missing the whole point. This is a real. So what they've actually said is that, okay, the limited hangout. This is where we started. Let's go back to the weave.
Oh, the limited hangout.
The
Yeah.
limited hang,
Fuck.
what the limited hangout is for the CIA is they'll say something like, we were funding $20,000 to turn mice into transsexuals. And people will be like, oh my God, that's awful. But they won't tell. So they'll give you a piece of Z. They won't tell you A through Y. So
Yeah.
A through Y is what's really happening. So let me explain what really is happening here. What they have found is that we were growing heroin in Afghanistan through USAID. So we're funding the growth of heroin and such things through. And when I say that, people will be like, well, USAID, people will be like, well, we were, trying to have them grow corn. Well, the corn makes them 3 times as much money. Well, they were taking that money and growing more heroin, which is why when the United States left, when we were there, heroin growth was up like 95%. And ever since we've left, heroin doesn't exist anymore. Fentanyl does. So as soon as we were there, spiked. We were there for 20 years. As soon as we're gone, no more heroin. It's now fentanyl. You have to have something far more dangerous, which, by the way, we're also still involved in. That's why the southern border's open. We had to replace our heroin money with fentanyl money. But yeah, so heroin was part of USAID. They funded Donald Trump's impeachment. So it comes out that they spent an exorbitant amount of money researching our great
Don't tell us that.
Rudy Giuliani. So they literally spent taxpayer money to hire people to look into Rudy Giuliani's activities in Ukraine and use that as a basis to impeach Donald Trump. Poor Rudy's been fucked in the ass over that. Turns out Rudy was 100% right and innocent. USAID was responsible for that. They funded the protests in the U.S., all the BLM protests where they burned down lives and killed 33 people. Yeah, that was through USAID. They were bribing media worldwide. They had over 6,200 journalists worldwide on the payroll.
Yeah.
So you wonder why every story is the same. And,
Yeah.
there's
Every story's
nothing.
a fucking same.
You ever notice that there's no stories that are negative about the CIA in mainstream media? Have you ever noticed
They
that
don't even question. It's the
they
same
don't? The
shit.
CIA are great people. They're doing God's work out there. No, 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 no. 6,200 of them. 6,200 journalists worldwide, hearing their bullshit. They funded human trafficking, so they were funding all of the NGOs that were bringing people in. So there was a big conspiracy theory for a while that these people, this is what I call reverse conspiracy theory, that these people were all coming here organically, that 15,000, 20,000 people just organically got together and said, South America is so bad that we need to go to this racist country called the United States of America. This is the most racist, unfair, billionaire run country in the world. So we 15,000 people out of the blue, it's so bad here, we have to go.
Yep. We
African.
got to go over there.
So it turns out that was not organic. That was funded by USAID. So they were funding all of these people to fly in, bus in, wheel in on wheelbarrows, throw them on trains. That shit needs to be fed and funded, and it was funded by USAID. So the invasion into our country was funded to destroy our country, was funded by USAID. So when you're hearing all these, oh my God, they made the frogs, they made rats get, that's not even the half of it. They also gave money directly to Jeffrey Epstein. So fucking little children and trafficking little children was part of what USAID funded. No, you might say, well, did they really know? I don't know. I don't really care. But net result is you should have known. You can't just give money to a guy that was convicted of pedophilia and then let off with a little slap on the wrist, and you're still giving his foundation money. Yeah, you fucking know that
Yeah,
you're
you need
actually
to know that.
you're trafficking children, right? They overthrow duly elected governments. So in Brazil, they just installed an actual communist over a duly elected Brazilian. That was USAID. And in Ukraine, they helped the color revolution overthrow of a duly elected government and installed a US government. And you might say, well, that's good, right? It's now led to over 1 million dead people in one conflict and brought us to the precipice of World War III. So that was partially a lot funded by USAID. They funded George Soros to $268 million. George Soros, who specifically said he hates the United States and whose life goal it is to destroy us, the guy who got rich by destroying the British pound and bringing the British economy to its knees, and has done that to 7 different economies. He makes his money by destroying. That's how he makes his money. And
Wow.
he's banned all over the world. And this guy has literally taken money and figured out, if I can win prosecutor races with $1 million. So he's put in all these piece of shit prosecutors, including a lot of the ones that went after Trump for the impeachment, all over the country.
Yeah.
San Francisco, LA, everywhere across the country, that where crime explodes, where they go, we're going to do no Chicago, where they say no
The
cash
guy's magic, the way
no,
that looks.
no cash bail, defund the police. Somebody kills somebody, well, let's let them out, and unless they're a Republican, and let's keep them in. All that shit is George Soros. So USAID funded that. And then they funded, here's the coup de grace for people going, if you get rid of USAID, people will starve across the world. USAID was also found guilty of funding COVID-19. And I don't know how many deaths you want to attribute to that, but it did bring our economy to the knees. People are still suffering from it. There's a lot of retarded children out there that can't talk because their parents were retarded and were like, put this mask on, it'll fucking save you. And their kids are now going, da, da, da. They can't talk anymore because of USAID. And there's one extra element. They were found out today to be funding chemtrails that people said was a massive conspiracy theory. So they called it weather modification, and they were funding that as well. And this is a very small sample size, but I've seen it online.
Wow.
I've seen it online, and I can attest to it here in Tampa. In Tampa, every fucking day they sprayed. Every day. There would be like one day a week where I'd be like, oh my God, they didn't spray today. It's crazy. They've been spraying forever. For the last 2 days, no spraying. And I'm seeing it all over X. They're like, there's been no spraying since USAID was shut down. So you're talking about there are estimates that 97% of the money going through USAID was fraud, and or
Jesus.
97%. And it was funded.
Wow.
It was funded at 50 billion per year, higher than the CIA, because it is a CIA op. So they were just basically laundering money left and right through USAID to all of their constituents to run all their horse shit, and it was all coming back to them in every possible way. So far, Elon and his crew have now audited about 1% of the U.S. government, and they've found $100 billion a year in waste. 1% of the U.S. government and $100 billion a year in waste. So I'm very. I don't think that pace will keep up. I think when they
that
go.
That was my question. Do you think it's kind of all happening so fucking fast?
Well, that's the magic of it. Trump's going full Machiavellian. The news. So this is the. Can I explain this? How this is brilliant?
Yeah.
So fucking brilliant. So the news had a way of handling Trump in the first thing where he'd do something and they'd work through the cycles and they'd cycle it through. And if it stuck for a little bit, they'd hammer in and drill on it.
Yeah.
Now he's moving so fast. The targets are all over.
They don't have time.
No, their whole system is broken. They had a process and a system for handling each story and milking that story to its absolute fullest to fool people in the best possible way. That's what
a fucking genius.
He's moving so fast, they can't keep up. And even if they go in on one, he's now done 10 more. And by the time they're like, holy shit, these are worse than that one, he's already done other things. And none of them are sticking. Right now, you've got leftists right now going, one of those people was racist. You're like, they just found over $100 billion in fraud. You got one racist talking about Indians? Like, really? One racist? that said something called big balls on the internet. You're like, that's your argument for today.
Wow.
They can't keep up. He's destroying them systematically. And the
It's
approval for
amazing.
it's amazing. And the approval for the Democratic Party now, because again, a lot of these news agencies, they were all funded. They're going away. They were funded by us to work against our interests.
What's his success rate? How's he do it? I mean,
Well, I was just going to tell you. So the latest poll that they have is from January 25th. Okay. This is the Quinnipiac poll. 31% of the people are supporting the Democratic Party right now. That's not good.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's not good. Now I haven't looked into, their how they conducted the poll. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little +3, +4. Either way, people are understanding out there that we've been getting ass raped systematically by the Democratic Party and some on the right too. Let me just preempt this. There's a lot of people out there on the right that were also getting. They were in on this. This doesn't just happen when it's one side or the other. It's called a uniparty. There's going to be a lot of resistance on the right, and all of the people resisting will be the ones that are guilty.
They're the guilty.
You see
Yeah.
people on the right that are coming out against this. They were getting greased. They were
Fucking Shakespeare.
They were getting their shakes. They were making their money. And now there's so much because what this is right now, what we're watching is the first era of what I would call radical transparency. And you're watching these people get exposed because now they're like, you know why I'm against this. And
Oh,
on the internet, they're going, you're against this because you work for the so-and-so foundation. The so-and-so foundation was paid $24 million last year, of which you made 1.2. That's why you're against this. And people are just going, oh, fuck. They can't even talk anymore because they're just radically transparent.
yeah. I mean, it's like the end of a corny fucking 80s movie. You know what I mean?
It is. It's
It-
over. The veil of
Fuck.
privacy is over. And you know who's responsible for it? Elon Musk. If it weren't for Elon Musk taking X and taking the fucking shots to the face he did, every social media company would have been controlled. We would know none of this.
Wow.
I mean,
Fuck.
I would, but I go on weird
I
places.
still think he's gonna end up a supervillain. I think he's gonna trans whatever form over to the other side one day.
Because you were a tranny one day.
The story's too good. I mean, this is a fucking comic book we're living.
You could get too much power and let it go to your head. But the good thing with him is he's had that power for a long time. And clearly he's chosen to use it for good. And
Yeah.
he's now actually using it for good, and it's not helping him. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things with people on the left. They're now like, it's a conflict of interest. So the first conflict of interest is it's a conflict of interest. Elon Musk has a lot of government contracts. Okay, fair point, right? Starlink, there's no SpaceX. There are no competitors to Starlink and SpaceX. So the contracts that he's going to get, they have no choice. So that's not going to affect it. Tesla is worth $1.2 trillion. It's a monster.
Jesus.
It's a monster. 1.1, 1.2, depending on the day. This administration is not an EV friendly administration. The worst thing for Elon, for Tesla, is for Trump, drill baby drill, to come into office, unless he's worried about something bigger. What you'd want if you're a Tesla guy is the Green New Deal. So
Wow.
there's your where's Elon? Where's he at? Is this for personal interest or not? Donald Trump is not Elon friendly for Tesla. He's just not. So he'll listen on that bullshit, but he doesn't believe in it. He's fine with battery cars, but he's not going to make it mandatory like California. Matter of fact, he's already undone California's mandatory shit. How does that help Elon Musk? It doesn't.
Wow. Yeah.
So people say that.
So maybe he wants to be, not the supervillain. Maybe he wants to be the hero.
But that's one part. Then the second one, so that fell apart. So then the second one was, I hear that USAID was investigating Elon in Ukraine. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so USAID is not an investigative organization. It's USAID is the Agency for International Development. They have an IG within USAID who can look at contracts. The one that they have with not SpaceX. I have it in my fucking mouth. Whatever. His other company that does the internet connectivity, Elon donated 73% of the shit for free. He's like, I want to help. You guys have no internet. They bombed all your utilities. So he gives them 73% of the shit for free so that Starlink, so that they can tie into the satellites. Elon was persona non grata for the following. They wanted to use his satellites to direct attacks into Russia using US weapons, using his satellites. And he's like, no, you can't do that. And he cut that capability off. He's like, don't use my shit for your military strikes. You can use it for communications. Don't start World War III with my shit. And after it happened, the people were like, he's pro Putin. He's a traitor. No, you wouldn't even have internet access if not for him. And he literally gave 73% of the equipment for free. So the fact that they're talking about USAID, who's not an investigative place, investigating a guy who gave 73% of the shit for free, bullshit. And he's been investigated by anything under the sun. He's not going after USAID because he was afraid they might look into him. He's been investigated by everybody. He doesn't give a fuck.
I'm telling you, the momentum has shifted. It's on our side, but I don't know. Do you think we'll maintain that, and how long will we?
Well, there will be a false flag soon because they're desperate. And
what's a false flag?
A major event like 9/11, some sort of weird shit that'll blow up a bunch of people. They need to create chaos soon in order to, because right now everybody's seeing the fraud, everybody's seeing that we're fucked, everybody's seeing that we should not be $40 trillion in debt. We should be $40 trillion in surplus. We've been fucked in every way. We should not have any inflation. We should have money in the bank. We should not have any of the problems that we have.
I'm looking. He just revoked Biden's security clearance.
I saw that. It's the great. And you're fired.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, he said, yeah, you're fired, Joe.
You're fired. Fucking legend. So yeah, everything about this is great. And the people that are out there complaining, you can't complain about a government audit. These same people were trying to actually lobby for you and I to have every $600 transaction in our bank account reviewed by the IRS. Now they're complaining that, hundreds of billions of dollars are being reviewed and all the fraud is being exposed. Nobody buys it. Regular people understand, holy shit, this is why we're paying so much. This is why we had to print so much. This is why they kept telling us we needed more taxes. We didn't need more taxes ever. We got fucked. And we got fucked by politicians that were crooked. And these people need to go to jail for life. It's like the American Revolution. It's like the American Revolution without having to fire a shot. Yeah.
Just through strength, just smarts and cunning. And I mean, he went full fucking, all the fucking 21 power bullshit, I don't, we'll cut that out.
With big giant balls.
But
what is 21
the way, I mean, the first one was, what's the Sun Tzu?
Oh, Art of War.
Art of War. Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
So he went Art of War, man. He fucking prepared those 4 years for this, and he plotted, and I mean, that's how he was able to come in so hot. I think.
It's even when you watch him, you don't realize how cunning and smart he is. His brain is clearly working on other levels.
I never thought I'd say this, but I'm so glad he lost when he lost.
Me too.
To come back and win.
Me too. It was important for him to be able to plan more, to plot more.
Fuck.
And everyone got to see the Democratic Party was literally put a retard, a blithering vegetable and pretended and lied to the whole country and said, no, he's sharper than ever. And then when they saw it, it for that night, for that few hours, and we did the podcast, for the few hours where the veil was removed and they realized the truth, that was so painful for all the true Democrats to realize, oh my God, I've been lied to. And like true, disciples of a cult, they went right back to the people who lied to them, going, give me a lie that makes this pain go away. I don't want to feel this pain anymore.